Okay, welcome to the NEP for partial fractions. So lower sixth, start of the year 2 scheme of work, and we have notes, examples, and practice. So grab your books, folders, notebooks, whatever. We're going to start with this title here, partial fractions. Okay, so partial fractions is the title, and we're going to start with just this little notes section at the top. So what I want you to write down is this. So splitting into partial fractions requires and involves a fraction with 2 or more linear factors in the denominator. So that's what it requires, and it involves splitting into 2 or more separate fractions with linear denominators. Okay, so in the examples we'll see what exactly we're looking for. And then we have the key clues box, which is always in blue. So this is generally helpful for binomial expansion and integration and differential equations. So partial fractions come up again and again and again, and it's really important that you understand how they work and can do them nice and easily. Okay, so once we've done those, we've done the notes, we're then going to start with examples. So a little subheading for examples, and then we're going to write down question number 1. Okay, so question number 1, simple skill, we have this here. So this is our question number 1. Now, what I want you to just note is that we have here a fraction, yes, with 2 or more linear factors in the denominator. So what that means is we've got these 2 linear factors down here. Okay, so that is how we know we can split this into partial fractions. And we're going to split it into 2 separate fractions with linear denominators. So it's going to be a over x plus 1 plus b over x minus 4. So I'm aiming to translate this into this. So I'm splitting up this bottom section here. Okay. Now, I'm kind of going to work in reverse. So from here, if I were to be adding these fractions, I would need a common denominator. So I would multiply across like this. So I would have a lots of x minus 4 over x plus 1, x minus 4. And then I would have plus b lots of x plus 1 over x plus 1, x minus 4. So theoretically I could cancel out that and this to get me back to where I started. But now I have a common denominator. I have a x minus 4 plus b x plus 1 over x plus 1 x plus 4. And now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to look at this bit here, and I'm going to look at my initial question. So my initial question was this here. Now, why have I written plus 4? That should be minus 4, sorry. Minus 4 in there, not plus 4, minus 4. Okay, now, what I have is I have matching denominators. And this is all equal all the way across this line, because I've got equal signs everywhere. So what that means is I can actually write that 5 equals a x minus 4 plus b x plus 1. And then I have an equation that I can work out. Okay. Now what I need to do is I need to deal with these each one at a time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say let x equal 4. And the reason I picked 4 is because it is going to make this bracket equal to 0. So what I have is I have 5 equals a 4 minus 4 plus b 4 plus 1. So that equals 0, and what this means is I now have an equation in terms of b. So 5 equals 5b, so b equals 1, like so. And as soon as I've done that, I'm going to put this back in my first line up there. Now, all I need to do is I need to set x equal to minus 1, and do the same, so x equals minus 1. Now, the 5 stays the same because it's just a 5. Now I have a minus 1 minus 4 plus b minus 1 plus 1. So that is going to equal 0. So I have now 5 equals minus 5a, so a equals minus 1. So minus 1 up here. So therefore my answer is minus 1 over x plus 1 plus 1 over x minus 4. And that is my answer there. Now what I need to do is I need to be able to check. So to check, I'm going to do my question with a random value for x. So 5 over x plus 1, x minus 4, minus my answer. And I'm going to put all of that in my calculator screen. And if that equals 0, which it will, then that is correct. So we have a random number for x, and we do question minus answer. Okay, so the check for this, and this is going to be a check we use regularly when we're doing algebraic manipulation. So check is question minus answer in my calculator screen equals 0. Okay, so that is question 1 completed. Okay, next we are going to do question 2. So question 2, we have here 3 linear factors. So this means it's going to be a over x plus b over x minus 1 plus c over 2x plus 1. And working through that process like I did before. Hang on, let me just clear this away because we've done all that now. That was our check. Okay, so therefore our next stage is to go a times by 2x plus 1 times by x minus 1 is now all over x minus 1, 2x plus 1. Plus b is going to be times like this, so bx 2x plus 1. And then c is going to be across these two. And then again, so we want to be able to work that out methodically, so we can do it even if we have forgotten the exact process. So now I have that equals this. And because they share a common denominator, I can write this as 6x squared plus 5x minus 2 equals . Okay, and once we get to here, remember what we're trying to do is we're trying to eliminate some of my options. So if I go to here, I'm going to let x equal 1. So I'm going to let x equal 1. And then I am subbing that in. So I'm subbing it into all of these places as well. Okay, so x equals 1. On my calculator, I'm going to do 1 store x. And then I can put in 6x squared plus 5x minus 2 equals 9. Now a is going to be 0, b is going to be 1 times 2x plus 1, remembering using that store button, so 3b plus 0 again, so 3b equals 9, so b equals 3, and I can put that in here. Okay, next I'm going to do let x equal minus a half, so that will eliminate this, so let x equal minus a half. Now again, I can do minus 1 over 2 store for x, and then I can actually go back up to what I put in before and just sub that in. Okay, now a is going to equal 0, b is going to equal 0, and c is going to be c times by x bracket x minus 1 on the calculator. So 3/4 c. So 3/4 C equals -3. So C equals -4. That can go in there. And then finally, let x equal 0. So 0 store x. Again, go back up to this bit in my calculator. So -2 equals a. So then I've got 2x plus 1 bracket x minus 1. Exactly as that is. So -1a plus 0 plus 0. So -1a equals -2. So a equals 2. So my answer is 2 over x plus 3 over x minus 1 minus 4 over 2x plus 1. And then remember, for my check, it's the question minus the answer in your calculator. Don't forget you need brackets around like these. If it equals 0, that is correct. I'm just going to check that. Yep, equals 0, good, so that is correct. Remember, you want a random number for x. Okay, so that is example number 1 and example number 2 complete. Now, example number 3 is a little bit different, and that is because it has a repeated factor. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about this one. So we have, this time, we're going to split it into 3. Now, what we're going to split it into is we've got x plus 1 is one of the factors. But then another factor is x plus 1 squared. And the third factor is 2x plus 1. So if we have repeated factors, what we do is we always take the factor once and then take the factor squared. And then we can continue as we would do normally. So a needs to be multiplied by x plus 1 to get an extra 1. And 2x plus 1, and this is all going to be over x plus 1 squared 2x plus 1. Okay, now b only needs to be multiplied by 2x plus 1 because it's already over x plus 1 squared, and c needs to be multiplied by x plus 1 squared. And then again, I could simplify. So if I simplified that and that, I would get c over 2x plus 1. Okay, so same as before, we have this bit is going to be equal to all of this bit up here. So okay, like so. And then what we're going to do to start with is we're going to choose x equals -1. So let x equal -1. We want to use our calculator. So -1 store x. And then we're going to put that in. So 11x squared plus 14x plus 5. On my calculator it's 2. This is going to be 0. B is going to be 2x plus 1. And c is going to be 0 as well. So minus b equals 2, b equals -2. So that goes in there. Okay, next I'm going to let x equal -1/2. So -1/2 store for x, and I can go back up using my calculator. So 3/4 equals 0 plus 0 plus, and then this is x plus 1 all squared. So 1/4 c equals 3/4, so c equals 3. Now, the problem I now have is I have nothing else to make equal to 0. And what I don't know is I don't know what a is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about comparing coefficients, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 11x squared from here and all of my x squared components that I'm going to get. So if I expanded, if I did that times that times that, I would get an x squared component, and that's the only place I'd get it from in the A. And in the C, I'd get it from here, so c times x, and that's going to be squared. So what that means is that 11x squared on one side is equal to a times x times 2x plus c times x. So that's 2ax squared, and actually I know that c is 3, so this is 3x squared. And now what I can do is I can get rid of all my x squareds, I can minus the 3, and a equals 4. So that 4 goes there. And you're going to have to do the same thing for the practice questions on the stretch. Okay, so therefore my answer is 4 over x plus 1 minus 2 over x plus 1 squared plus 3 over 2x plus 1. And my check is Q minus A. So the question minus the answer in your calculator screen with a random value for x should equal 0. Okay, so it's quite long and convoluted, but this is assessing your algebra skills and your understanding. So finish writing those down in your books, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do a summary. So what we are doing is we are using our understanding of adding algebraic fractions to create a linear equation. And then always choose x values to eliminate A, B, or C. And then finally compare coefficients. There you go. I'm going to put a red box around that. Write that down. It's going to consolidate your understanding and make your notes better. Okay, so write that down and then move on to the practice questions. Okay, practice questions. So you can do these in your books. You can check them all yourselves. If you're stuck, don't forget, you can come and go to the website, email me, ask me for help. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so I'm going to start with question number 1. So we're going to need that is what we're aiming for. So using my knowledge of algebraic fractions, I have 4 plus x plus b x plus 1 all over that common denominator. Therefore, I can take this section and make it equal to this section because they have a common denominator. So x plus 10 Okay, so starting with let x equal minus 4. Store that in your calculator for x, and then we have x plus 10, 6 equals 0 plus, so x plus 1 minus 3b. Then minus 1, store for x, go back up, 9 equals 4 plus x so my answer is and then remember to check. That all goes in your calculator with brackets, equals 0, happy days. Okay, question B. Now B is a little bit trickier to recognise because we have to factorise the bottom first. And then that gives me my two linear factors. So A over x plus B over 4 minus x equals A 4 minus x plus bx all over and therefore I can take this bit and this bit like so. So to start with, let x equal 4, so 4 store x, 8 minus 9x. So we can see I'm just following that process all the way through. Then let x equals 0. So 0 store for x. Go back up on your calculator, there it is. So 8 equals 4 minus x, 4. So my answer is 2 over x minus 7 over 4 minus x. And to check, question, so this is my question. Minus my answer. All on my calculator screen. Now because I didn't make that a random number on the bottom, it was still 0, so it didn't work. So that's why it's really important that we do a random number, store that for x, and then go in and check our work. So that is 0, so that's correct. Please don't rush through that checking process, it's really, really helpful. Okay, C, I now have 3 factors. So we lay them out like this, and then we multiply them. So A needs to be multiplied by the other 2. So this comes back to your knowledge of fractions from GCSE. And that is all over my common denominator. Which means I can take all of this and all of this and put it equal. There we go. And then I'm going to start with A equals 5. No, not A equals 5. X equals 5. So 5 store for x, and then we're just repeating this process. So minus 3x squared minus 13x minus 28. A is equal to 0. B is equal to 0. c is equal to x plus 1, x plus 2. So minus 168 equals 42c is minus 4. Okay, then we are going to do x equals minus 2. So minus 2 store for x. Go back up, put that in. So a is 0, b is x plus 1. Go away, Siri. X minus 5. And c is 0. And then x equals minus 1. Minus 1 store x. So x plus 2, x minus 5. Plus 0, plus 0. So my answer is, I'm going to do it over here, 3 over x plus 1 minus 2 over x plus 2 minus 4 over x minus 5. And then to check, q minus a in the box equals 0. Woo! Okay, question 4. Now we have a repeated factor. So remember, we have the factor, the square factor, and the random other value. Okay, and then we're going to multiply across. So a needs to be multiplied by that once, and that. B only needs to be multiplied by this. And c only needs to be multiplied by that. So all over like so. And then because they're equal, I can take this and this. So let's start with x equals minus 2. So minus 2 store x, and subbing it in, x squared plus 2. So subbing in here, 6 equals 0 plus x plus 3 plus 0. So b equals 6. Then minus 3. Store that for x, go back up. 11 equals a still equals 0, b still equals 0, and c is x plus 2 all squared. So c equals 11. And then remember, what we need to do is we need to compare coefficients for x squared. So x squared equals a x squared plus c x squared. So x squared equals a x squared plus c x squared, and c is 11. So cancel out these, that's a 1. So a equals minus 10. Okay, that seems like an interesting answer. So my answer is minus 10 over x plus 2 plus 6 over x plus 2 squared plus 11 over x plus 3. And often when you get a weird answer, it's really satisfying to check. So I'm going to store a random number in my x, which you should know how to do by now, and then question x squared plus 2 over x plus 2 all squared x plus 3. So question minus big bracket, and then I'm going to put my whole answer in. So minus 10 over x plus 2 plus 6 over x plus 2 squared plus 11 over x plus 3. Oh, that's good. Done. Okay, final question, stretch question here, because we need to address the bottom first. So factorising that, I can take out x squared. So I have a over x plus b over x squared plus c over x minus 1. So a needs to be times by an x and an x minus 1, b only by an x minus 1, and c only by an x squared, all over. So I can take this, oopsie daisy, equals this. Okay, so starting with, I'm going to let x equal 0. So 0 store x. Then I'm putting in this. So minus 1 equals 0 plus minus b plus 0. So b equals 1. Then I'm going to let x equal 1. So 1 store x, go back up, minus 1 equals 0 plus 0 plus c, because that's 1 squared, so c equals minus 1. And then comparing coefficients, we have 2x squared equals ax squared plus cx squared. And c is minus 1. So 3x squared equals ax squared, so a equals 3. So my answer is 3 over x plus 1 over x squared minus 1 over x minus 1. Checking, q minus a in the box equals 0. Okay, so really good. If you have finished the topic, you should be happy with those questions. If not, wait until you've done it. If you're stuck, please ask, please come and help. Please come and get help. Okay, well done.